first live ever on any platform, but we're making it on YouTube, right? We appreciate you guys that are already subscribers, and hopefully what we're doing here today will help you guys out even further. I am super excited about it, actually. So, but we're here in my office. It's going to be a little more of a relaxed atmosphere, right? You guys know me. Love the Mountain Dew. We're just going to crack that open right now. Try to keep our energy up, right? That's good stuff. All right. So we are one day late for our YouTube release. Typically we release every Thursday, but this week we're doing something a little bit special, right? We're throwing in, my team threw in real estate questions, right, to an AI, right? Here, I'm reading this on the different news articles and whatnot. I don't know what you guys are finding, but the news is talking about it like crazy. Oh, it's going to do kids' homework, right? It's going to do all this other stuff, right? All the things that our future is going to be able to do for us. So we're going to put it to the test today, and they threw in questions. I don't know what these questions are, right? I don't know what the questions are, and I don't know what the answers are. So I am going to react with you guys and experience this for the first time, okay? So I think they said there's about 7 questions. That's all I know, okay? And that they vary in difficulty. So we're going to get started here. We're going to go through the questions, and I know I'm going to tell you what I think about each question, and I'm going to respond on, do I think that's the correct answer? Would I do something different to each one? Okay? So hang with me. Let's get started. Okay? All right. We got it open here. Okay, this says, we'll start basic, then get more advanced. Pressure's on, guys. Crazy ones at the end. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Tell me the simple steps to buying a house. All right, doesn't get any easier than that. All right, here's the robot, right? The AI's response. Here are the basic steps for buying a house. It gave 4 steps. Step number 1, determine your budget and get pre-approved for a mortgage. Okay. Step number 2, find a real estate agent to help you search for properties. Step number 3, look for a property and make an offer. And step number 4, finalize the sale by signing a purchase agreement, paying closing costs, and completing necessary inspections. So, pretty basic question. However, for people that have never bought before, still a question I get asked as a real estate agent and an investor all the time. So, obviously it depends on what perspective you're looking at it, but more or less, you do have to make sure financing is in place, right? You have to know whether you can afford it. Do you have enough cash? And if you don't have enough cash, where's the money coming from? So I would actually agree that getting pre-approved for a mortgage, right, if we wrapped it into financing, would be the first step, right? And that part of that is when you're being approved, they're saying you can afford this, right? Because that's part of getting pre-approved, making sure it's a smart move, okay? Finding a real estate agent and helping you search for properties. If you're buying traditionally, spot on, right? Little tweaks if you're buying as an investor, right? You actually, instead of an agent, you might be looking for a wholesaler, right? Or another investor if you're looking to do a wrap or all sorts of different strategies that we could talk about. But typically, you would want to find someone in the know, someone that finds the deals. Look for the property and make an offer using their help, right? Makes sense. Obviously, it could be a little tweak if, when I first started, I didn't necessarily have somebody. So I had to fill in the part of being the agent or the wholesaler or any of that and trying to find my own deals, whether it be through relationships or direct-to-seller marketing or any of those avenues. Okay? But the steps are still there. Someone has to fulfill them. Okay? And the final one, right? finalize the sale by signing a purchase agreement, paying closing costs, completing the necessary inspections, and then technically getting to closing. The one thing actually they are missing here would be an appraisal. Okay, almost always, because according to the bot here, the AI, they're getting pre-approved for a mortgage, so an appraisal would almost always be required. So that is missing, and a lot of times there's heavy negotiations that go on there, so that would be a big part. And getting to the closing, it's not easy. You can have all your ducks in a row, but you might get there, you might not get there. So I would say overall though, we're going to go with a pass fail here. I'm going to go with pass. I think it was actually very well said, thought out, even though I'm talking about an AI. And yes, really, really done. Well done. So what would I do and say different? I kind of broke that down, right, all along the way there. So the biggest thing would be the appraisal, right, and depending on your aspect. So, okay, that's question number 1. Let's see what else they threw at me here. Okay, question number 2, what is creative financing in real estate? I love this one. All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. Creative financing in real estate refers to the use of unconventional methods to finance the purchase of a property. These methods can include things like owner financing, lease-to-own arrangements, and the use of hard money loans. Creative financing can be a useful tool for buyers who may not qualify for traditional financing or for sellers who are having difficulty finding a buyer for their property. Some of the benefits of creative financing include the ability to buy a property with little or no money down, the opportunity to negotiate more favorable terms, and the ability to structure a deal that meets the needs of both the buyer and the seller. However, it's important to carefully consider the risks and limitations of creative financing before entering into any such arrangement. So, let's break it down. My gut, actually, let's go with my gut right now. I will tell you, my gut is telling me that is actually pretty darn accurate, okay? Because all day long we could have listed more examples, right? But it did pretty good. Owner financing, right? There's other terms like seller financing. You can't list every term, right? Lease to own, right? Which is also rent to own, using hard money loans. It didn't specify subject to, which is actually a really big way to acquire properties, right? A creative financing method, right? So shout out to, Pace Morby, Matthew Baird, right? They're some of the leaders in this area. And we do this too. So sub 2 is very, it's actually one that most people don't know about. So, but it explained it quite well. I was a little worried it wasn't going to talk about the positive sides because it said kind of, hey, that they don't qualify for traditional financing. So when it comes to people all the time, as an investor, if you acquire a property and you want to sell it with seller financing, a lot of times you're doing a wrap. So yes, they're paying higher interest, right? They're doing all this. It's because they can't qualify for traditional means. And that's not necessarily taking advantage of people. There's lots of people, and I've been at places like this all the time, where your income's non-traditional. So they're like, oh no, you're an entrepreneur, right? Like you have a ton of money in your bank account? Yeah, we don't care. You just don't fit our boxes. So we can't give you a loan very easily. You don't have a W-2. So, but it did list all the positives, okay? To negotiate more favorable terms. So when we invest in a property and we take it over, either subject to, seller financing, anything like that, we are looking for these favorable terms. Right now, we are specifically heavily looking for properties like these because if we could take over a loan that's already in place or negotiate seller financing terms with a super low interest rate, I'm going to win out over the 7 to 8% over other people all day. So, awesome. Okay. Yeah, you got to evaluate the risks and limitations, right? That's kind of the same. My only thing is it specifically says that about this, but I don't necessarily think it's that much more risky than almost anything else. Besides, when you go traditional, I guess you have other people in place checking boxes, right? But people can people can get loans that they shouldn't doing traditional ways as well. So I wouldn't say it's inherently more risky, but so pass fail, I think it's a pass. I love that my team made that the second question, right? One of my favorite questions, okay? And I kind of explained what I would do different as well. All right, no, this is getting exciting. Okay, number 3, tell me why investing in commercial real estate is not worth it for beginners, okay? We actually just came out with the video, so let's share that video up here. Or we'll put it down in the comments, right? Because I guess this is live. I don't even know if you can do links like that. But we'll put it down in the comments so you guys can go watch that. But so you guys, if you've watched already, you know my opinion on this. But let's hear what the bot, right, has to say. There are a number of reasons why investing in commercial real estate may not be a good idea for beginners. Some of the potential drawbacks of commercial real estate investing include, number 1, higher costs. Ding, ding, ding. Commercial properties tend to be more expensive than residential properties, which can make it difficult for beginners to afford them, right? Number 2, longer holding periods. Commercial properties are typically held for longer periods of time than residential properties, which means the beginners may have to wait longer to see a return on their investment, okay? Number 3, higher risk. Commercial real estate is generally considered to be a higher risk investment than residential real estate, which means that beginners may be more vulnerable to losses. Okay. Number 4, greater responsibilities. Commercial properties often require more maintenance and management than residential properties, which can be a burden for beginners who are not familiar with these tasks. And number 5, it's quite the list for them, that's good. Greater competition. There is often more competition for commercial properties than there is for residential properties, which can make it difficult for beginners to find good deals. Okay, so overall, it kept going. So that's the end of number 5, but it says, overall, it's important for beginners to carefully consider the risks and challenges of commercial real estate investing before making a decision. It may be more advisable for beginners to start with smaller, less complex investments before moving on to more complex and costly ventures. So what I can tell you, if you haven't seen my video, I talked about it being higher cost. I talked about it being higher risk, right? I talked about it being a game for when you're more responsible, right? You're more the further along in your career, right? And you're building those relationships and having those people that you can rely on, right? Because when it talks about greater competition, those are the people that you're going up against, okay? And they're not going to sit by sometimes and let you figure it out, okay? Dog-eat-dog world, right? So they're going to go after it, okay? So I actually think this is spot on, pass. I don't know why you want to go watch my video, right? No, we broke it down into deeper pieces. So go watch it. All right, next one. All right. What are some renovations that investors often think will add value to a home, but they actually don't add value to a home? I know you're all thinking about this stuff, right? If you were a house flipper, right, you'll look at a house, you're like, oh, I know what I would do. Boom, 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 boom. You would do all of these things. And guess what? You would also spend all your money super fast because things are way more expensive than you think, right? The real question is, what would you do or do you want to do that's actually not adding value to your house, right? We all buy things that aren't actually adding value to us, right? We think they are, right? I think sometimes, okay, in the past, you might buy a pool table. You might buy something, you might buy an exercise bike, something you think is going to add value, right? But a lot of it comes down to how you use it and what your return on it's going to be, okay? So we all do that. Let's find out what the bot says. There are a few renovations that investors may think will add value to a home, but which may not actually have much impact on the home's value. Some examples of these types of renovations include swimming pools. Nailed it. While many people enjoy swimming pools, they are often expensive to install and maintain, and they may not add much value to a home. In fact, some buyers may be turned off by added maintenance and liability of a swimming pool. That's actually 100% true, right? As a real estate agent, I can tell you, I have specific buyers that say, nope, no pool, and they're not even looking at houses that way. There are people on the other side as well, and it does still technically add value, but not proportionally. Okay, so still love it. So far, so good. High-end finishes. While high-end finishes like granite countertops and designer appliances may be attractive to some buyers, they may not necessarily add a lot of value to a home. In some cases, buyers may be willing to pay more for these finishes, but in other cases, they may not be willing to make a premium. So that is why the higher-end markets are a lot bigger risk. Okay, because their values can fluctuate quite a bit, right? Especially when, percentages, if it's a 10% swing, right? If it's $1 million home, that's $100,000 versus $40,000 on a $400,000 home, right? So the closer you are to the median home price, the better. When it comes to that, when it comes to high-end finishes, right? You're just not going to have as many high-end finishes when it comes to the median home price or lower, which is why that's the area that we like to play in. But if you know what you're doing, people can make really good money. But if you don't land in that okay zone, you could be screwed. All right. They also say, the bot also says too many personal touches. This happens on all price scales. While personal touches and decorations can make a house feel like a home, they may not appeal to all buyers. If an investor adds too many personal touches to a property, it may be harder for buyers to envision themselves living there, which can decrease the home's value. Absolutely. I think about when my parents bought their house that they currently live in, the previous owner had actually taken out the laundry room, right, and made a wet bar. They tore down a wall. And so when my parents bought it, they had to reverse all of that, right? So they knew up front that they were going to have to spend some money. And there was electrical and other stuff that they had to fix, right? When that individual was changing things to work just for him, right? Now, I'm not saying you can't ever do anything for yourself, but the bot is right, okay? I will tell you, probably 80-90% of the things that you do, unless you're checking, even just upgrading your kitchen, you better be checking on not just what you like, right? But, hey, what's kind of going with the masses? And then unnecessary renovations is the last part. Finally, investors should be careful not to over-renovate a property. While some renovations can add value to a home, others may not be worth the cost. It's important to carefully consider the potential return on investments for any renovation before proceeding. Okay, so kind of in line as well, right? Just unnecessary, regardless. That fits into a few of the other items there. So once again, it's kind of scary, guys. These spots are getting right on, right? That's pretty good. For basic information, right? Not a bad way to go, okay? So go watch my video. I have a video on this as well, right? We take it a little further in depth and with a few other items as well. But yeah, high-end finishes. I talked about appliances, all of those things. So go watch those videos as well. But I'm actually pretty impressed. I've read some of these articles, but I haven't played with any of them, and I don't actually know how smart these guys are. These things are going to take over. Okay. Here's a next question. It says absurd. Right, this is the instructions to the bot. Write a conversation between married couple. This is crazy. Write a conversation between a married couple, Dwayne and Jennifer. Dwayne and Jennifer have $15,678,443 in a savings account. My team, that's pretty specific. They do not own a house. Jennifer wants to buy a house with their money. Dwayne does not want to buy a house with their money. Dwayne wants to spend it on college for their children. Near the end of the conversation, Dwayne and Jennifer come to an agreement. Okay, let's see what the story came up. So this is a conversation between them. Here's Dwayne. Honey, I don't think it's a good idea to spend all our savings on a house right now. We have $15 million in the bank, but that's not enough to sustain us for the long term. Let's save up an extra $328, then reassess. Okay, obviously something's a little off here. 15,328. Okay. Man, if you could only gather data on why it thought that, right? Interesting. The wife says, Jennifer says, but we don't have a house. We've been renting for years, and it's time to settle down and have a place of our own. The husband, Dwayne, says, I understand that, but buying a house is such a big commitment. And if we use all of our savings, what will we have for emergencies or unexpected expenses? Valid point, whether you have 15 million or not. Jennifer says, we can always work and make more money, but we'll never be able to go back and have the opportunity to buy a house with this much money again. It's now or never. Ultimatum. Things just got, heating up here, a little bit spicy. Let's see what Dwayne does. I see your point, but have you considered moving in with my mother for a while? Dude, is he shipping off his wife? Her house is big enough for all of us, and it would give us time to save up more money for a down payment. All right, fine. The whole family moves in, all of us. That's not just us, so there must be kids involved. That or aunts or whoever else lives with them. But you can save a lot. Jennifer says, I understand what you're saying, but I really want our own place. Can't we just use some of our money for a down payment and save the rest for emergencies and unexpected expenses? Dwayne says, I see your point, but I think it's important to be smart with our money and make sure we have enough to last us. Moving in with my mother would give us the opportunity to save up more money and be more financially secure before making such a big commitment. You could make that mother argument till the end of time. You can always save more money, right? Jennifer says, I see what you're saying. Maybe you're right. Let's think about it more and come up with a plan that works for both of us. Dwayne says, I'm glad you see my point. Oh, good. You're on my side. I just want to make sure we're making the best decision for our family. Jennifer says, I know, and I appreciate that. So loving. Let's take some time to think it through and come up with a plan that works for both of us. So, first off, hats off. Wrote a whole story on the topic using the money. Interesting. Pass, fail. I would say pretty impressed. Obviously more fail than anything else that we've gone over so far with the whole difference in the money there, right? I would say based on the conversation, right on with a lot of the typical conversations that, right? As a real estate agent, I'm in the middle of these conversations all the time, right? One spouse wants to buy something, the other one wants to wait, or they both want to buy, but they all have differences, right? Do you buy the big house now? Do you buy something a little bit less, right? It's tough. Do you buy a brand new house? Do you go buy a house that needs fixing up, right? That you could spend that money now or you could spend that money later. So many options. So the overall gist of the story, I absolutely love. I hear it 1,000 times, right? They were very loving though. I will say, a little bit inaccurate, right? Oh, I see your point. Does that really even happen? Okay. Maybe you're right. I would love to hear that more often. That's right, Jenny. Go see this. Okay, so I still will say pass. Very impressed, but those are the things different, right? I would also, now this could obviously be an accurate conversation, but the conversation would be a little bit different if I was involved, right? I'd give a little bit different advice on what they should be doing. I would point out how by not owning real estate, right, especially over the long run, real estate's going to go up by a lot and a lot more than just holding onto your money. However, you need to be safe and secure. So it's finding a balance there. Okay, next one. Ray and Shauna are married. One wants to buy a house. One wants to start a business. Interesting. Now we're taking that concept I just talked about doing something with your money versus kind of not. Now you're doing two things. We're pretending you can't do both. I made a series of prompts to make the scenario more interesting. I love it, right? This is a message from my team, okay? And this is what the AI came up with. Perfect. Okay, here's the story. Ray, he says, I think we should buy a house. It's a good investment and a chance to settle down. Shauna says, but what about starting a business? That's always been a dream of ours. Plus, a house ties us down. Ray says, starting a business is a huge risk. Buying a house is safer. Shauna, I can't believe you're still pushing for this. I've told you 1,000,000 times that I want to start a business. Why can't you just listen to me for once? I see that you hear that feeling. I am listening to you, but starting a business is a huge risk. We have a family to think about. Shauna says, oh, so now you're using our family as an excuse. I can't believe you're being so selfish. This is my dream too, you know. Ray says, I'm not being selfish. I just want what's best for us. Buying a house is a safer option. Shauna says, safer? That's all you care about? Why are you afraid of failure? Ray says, I'm not afraid of failure. I just think we need to be smart about our decisions. Shauna, well, I think you're being short-sighted. I'm tired of you always playing it safe. I want to take a chance, follow my dreams. I can't believe you're not on board with me. Ray says, I think we should weigh the pros and cons together. Big shift in emotion there. All right, Shauna says, all right, let's do it. You're right. Starting a business is a huge risk. Wow, okay, she turned around. And we have to think about our family. Let's focus on buying a house. Whoa! Shauna that's a 180-degree switch there. I did not expect that. I will say, more realistic with the drama, with the emotion, right? That doesn't mean there's not love there. That just means people are passionate, right? We get passionate when we care about things. So I actually really enjoyed that. I think both can be really good. If you don't have anything, I think it's technically, in my opinion, hopefully smarter to buy real estate, right? To buy a house, because it is a tried and true. There are millions upon millions of people have bought homes, not as investment properties, and over time, they have always gone up over a longer period of time in value. Businesses do not have that guarantee. So I would definitely put real estate over the business, and I've done videos about this as well in the past, but a business kind of has a faster max, right? In real estate, you're not typically going to 10x, 100x, 1,000x your money in a short period of time, but in a business, you can do that. So it just depends on your personality, how much money you have, and you do need to evaluate taking care of the family, right? And doing that, but you got to work it out, right? Perfect. Okay. Okay. Then, all right. Last one, guys. Last one. This is what we want the AI to do. It says to write a short conversation between a real estate agent and Ray and Shauna. Okay. Here we go. Now we're talking. Ray and Shauna was the last question, the last conversation where they had emotion, right? Okay. Giving them home buying advice. That's what we're looking for. The real estate agent lists 7 items to always remember when buying a house. Interesting. Let's find out what he says. Here's the real estate agent. Hello, Ray and Shauna. Thank you for meeting with me today. I'm happy to offer you some advice as you begin the process of buying a house. Here are 7 things to always remember when buying a house. And there's one more sentence. Determine your budget. Get pre-approved for a mortgage. Find a real estate agent. Consider your needs. Shop around. Make a competitive offer. And have a home inspection. One sentence, all commas. So, what I will say is I would say fail, right? I mean, you're literally just kind of regurgitating the process, right? This is a short conversation trying to give them home buying advice. So I would have expected a lot deeper. Hey, maybe yes, here's the overall process. You have to understand that. But like, now what, right? Advice, to me, advice means tailored. Okay, it's going to be, this might be the process, but okay, based on our situation, is it just them two, right? I can't remember from the other story. I think it was the other one that said we, so they might have kids or family or something. These, it might just be these two, but it would be better for a condo or for a house. There's not necessarily an innate answer, right? It depends on the situation. So I think it failed on giving actual advice rather than just instruction of the process. So I would actually say a lot different on this one. But wow, okay, so that's it. So that's all 7. That was fun. What I will say is incredible with technology. I'm super excited about this. If you haven't done some of this, go do it. This is cool. I had never done this before. So if you guys like this, don't forget, like and subscribe, right? We could do a lot more of these, which is just kind of a fun way of interacting and helping you guys out. So like and subscribe, hit the bell. All right, leave comments down below if you have any other questions, even because after the live I can still respond. So, all right, see you guys next week. Peace.